And welcome to the Let's Eat Grandma Career Warrior Podcast. My name is Chris-Villanueva. I am the co-founder and CEO of Let's Eat Grandma Resume Service. Our aim is to inspire you and help you to land your dream job here. Now we're going to delve into top struggles and concerns for job seekers. I read every single one of these survey responses from our customers, and I dived into the top concerns. These are the top themes that kept coming up over and over and over again in regards to the resume. So we're going to cover things such as conciseness, how to brag about yourself, and how to get past the bots here. I would be remiss if I didn't tell you to check out our website, letseatgrandma.com/podcast. You can check out our recent episodes as well as how to submit your resume for a free critique. You have that resource at your disposal whenever you like.
Welcome to the Let's Eat Grandma Career Warrior Podcast.
All right, let's dive into top concerns for job seekers. Again, I read all of these survey questions and responses very carefully, and I picked apart, and for the first time ever, we have an episode that's devoted to getting all of the top concerns in one. So I hope that this concise episode will get you your challenges and your struggles addressed. Number one, getting past the bots. How can job seekers ensure that their resumes can get past the bots and make it into the hiring manager's hands? As one client put it really well, the resume and CV portions are quite challenging for me always. With AI and machines, not always people filtering through the resumes, it makes it incredibly hard to get your foot in the door, at least to have the initial recall with the recruiter. So I understand it's tough. When you've worked so hard on your career and you've done all the things to affect these accomplishments and results, and you've worked on your resume and it doesn't even get read. It's one of the most frustrating things ever when you just send your resume out into the internet and you don't even get the read time that you deserve. So my key recommendation here is try to strike a good balance between having a keywords focus and getting some interview winning phrases on your resume. It's incredibly important to have a keywords focus, and I know it's very robotic, but when you think about the way that recruiters search for candidates, oftentimes it's based on searching for specific position titles and those hard skills, or I call them nouns common to the position. So especially in 2024, hiring managers have choices, so they can get more picky and more specific with the type of candidate that they're looking for. So make sure to get just as specific in your resume and to meet those needs there. So again, as I mentioned, focus on the position title as much as possible. If you are applying for 2 different types of positions, heck, if you're applying for 10 different types of positions, you want to make sure you have a resume that is themed and geared towards those positions that you're going to be applying for. Now, if this sounds like too much, a resume writer or even somebody who is an insider in your industry can be a good person to have at your side. So ask them, am I getting specific enough to the jobs that I'm applying for? And am I including interview winning phrases here? So it's not just enough to have keywords. And I don't recommend going crazy. I'm talking like 5 or 6 keywords to really target the resume and make sure that those are sprinkled throughout. But it's not just enough to have that. You have to include interview winning phrases. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean phrases that can really get someone excited about bringing you in for the interview, just to have the conversation and get the ball rolling. So what is the thing that you're most proud of? If you are in the realm of project management, I know that there are some things that you've done, some passion projects, some things that have gotten your wheels turning that no one else could have done there. What's something that you accomplished that would be interesting to bring up in a conversation, for example? Those are the things that you can include on the resume and workshop with your phrasing to tighten it up and grab someone's attention. I always talk about making your resume like your advertising statement. When you're reading ads, you're looking at the different creatives from companies like Microsoft, Google, Apple. They don't just say, we have a great product that works. They think about how they can reach out to their target demographic and come up with mottos and slogans in interesting ways to be remembered. I want you to do the same thing in your resume. How can you be remembered as to where someone looked away from the resume for a few minutes and they still are thinking about the thing that you put on paper there. So, as I mentioned in the last episode, silence is okay. Do not cast self-doubt when you are met with periods of silence. Just read a response from one of our clients that said they just were met with months of silence after sending their resume. That doesn't mean that your personal worth goes down. It just means that your resume is not getting read, and just to keep trying, you will get something. All right, number 2. The second concern that people were focused on is conciseness. I'm going to try to go a little bit faster here. I had to get the first one out of the way because it's a big one. But the best approach for keeping a resume concise is a lot simpler than you would think. As someone put, well, being concise is a struggle, tailoring it for each job, capturing the essence of who I am, how I work, and why I'm a qualified candidate. My clear answer to you is you don't have to include everything on your resume. Kill the things that you are proud of, but aren't going to be necessarily something that a hiring manager is looking for. Now, I know I said bring up the things that excite you, but you have to put it specifically through the lens of a hiring manager looking at your resume and trying to find the relevance as quickly as possible. Remember, people are going to be spending seconds in your document, not minutes. So you have to, as the last person put, capture the essence of who you are within just a few short pages here. So do everything you can to tailor the resume to the role. And remember, in 2024, if you can cut out the resume and get it down to a nice, tight 2-page document, especially if you're mid-level, then your resume will become more punchy, impactful, and interesting. Trust me, you're going to want to cut your resume down more than you think, and it will look better as a result. Again, a lot of this has to do with your research, so make sure that you're going through job posting by job posting, and if you notice any common themes, then make sure to stick to those themes. Anything else that falls in your resume outside of those themes is fair game for removal. There are 30 possible resume mistakes stopping you from landing interviews. And please, whatever you do, don't submit your resume to another bot who won't listen. As a top resume service, we've helped thousands of job seekers. And with our expert eye, Let's Eat Grandma will transform your resume into a job-winning masterpiece. Don't wait. Submit your resume to Let's Eat Grandma now for a free critique. All right, the third concern from job seekers is formatting. How should job seekers format their resumes to stand out and keep it easy for hiring managers to read? All right, so this is one that's often contentious. I'm seeing a lot of misinformation. That's a big buzzword for the elections, I'm seeing. But a lot of just bad advice out there in regards to formatting. No, 2-column resumes are not better than 1-column resumes. And visual resumes should be the exception and not the rule here. Do not include a resume that puts all of the emphasis on the visuals because, number one, it takes away from those accomplishments and from the stuff that you've actually been doing. And number two, it could get in the way of a nice, clean applicant tracking system scan. You want to make sure to have a resume that starts off as boring, but you add a little bit of flair as you move on. So when I say boring, I mean just strip all of the crazy tables and charts and pictures. Make sure you don't have a lot of color going on in your resume and go single column because that is the tried and true method here. So keep it stripped down to where everything is focused on the text, but you also want to make sure that it's clean and it's easy to skim and read within seconds here. The way you do this is through white space, making sure that you have enough white space in your resume. It's almost as if you are looking at something and you're trying to process the words that are coming through. If you have way too much information coming at you, then you're not going to be able to process it very clearly. So that's where white space comes in. Formatting is going to be really important too. So I say stick to bold, italics, and also having border lines under key sections of your resume. Alignment is also going to be your friend as well. If you have certain things that could be spread out in the document, for example, your timeline, or maybe you want to draw attention to the different sections of your resume, things like your education or your professional experience sections, you can use alignment to properly format it. But the whole point I'm trying to make here is to keep it as simple as possible. Make sure that you have a resume that is clean and is simple and that does not have too many visual elements, because that will work against you. Number 4 for top concerns and struggles for job seekers on the resume is changing careers or industries. What are some key strategies for adapting a resume when you're switching careers or even entering a new industry? The thing I recommend job seekers stick to is focusing on those common ground qualifications. Notice that I didn't say professional experience, or I didn't say degrees or education here. Those things, of course, help, and you should try to include as much of that experience, professional experience or degrees, as much as possible. But qualifications, why are you qualified for the role here? Don't feel like you are not worthy of a position because you haven't had the title before. At this point, it's about bringing forth anything that you feel confident is going to make you a great professional in that role that you're going to be applying for here. So let's say you're applying for a position within, I'll use civil engineering as an example here. What are some things and projects that you've worked on in school to bring forth your civil engineering expertise and qualities? Have you volunteered for an organization that has been able to help you move forward within civil engineering? But put forth means get all of it at the very top half of your resume. So you got to make sure that these things are being seen. A lot of the times, job seekers are burying the things that are transferable, the stuff that's going to make a qualification relevant. And they're burying that within the second page of the resume, or burying it in these big, chunky paragraphs. So make sure to include such transferable skills, qualifications, etc. Make sure to include that within the top half of your resume, within the summary, and within concisely worded bullet points. I know it's hard. Employers can be pickier, and you are going to have a harder time getting noticed, at least in the beginning, but it will be worth it in the end once you get that next position here. And it's going to become a lot easier to continue developing your career within that one role. All right, number 5 for top concerns and struggles is quantifying achievements. How can job seekers effectively quantify their achievements even if they don't have traditional metrics to work with? As one client put it before he started working with us, I struggle with quantifying my achievements since I'm usually not privy to the kind of information, such as effects on sales, engagement, etc., that employers might be seeking. My answer to this is give yourself permission to brag. Similar to this concern is people who feel like they're having self-doubt, people who feel uncomfortable bragging, or people who may be down on their luck. You have to include these things on the resume, because if you don't, you're not going to stand out enough to keep moving on in your resume. In fact, this is what people are looking for anyway, so you might as well join the bragging game and include these things on your document. As far as numbers go, just get started including something and eventually keep replacing those numbers over and over again until you have something that looks solid here. It doesn't have to be just about sales or revenue or cost reductions here. What were some things that were impressive about your team size or the efficiency in the processes that you developed? Did you improve anything in your document? How many coworkers did you lead? How long did certain projects take? Were you able to get those projects done before deadline? These are things that take some time to brainstorm, yes, but you can absolutely quantify them to get them to stand out. Numbers are the things that stand out on paper. You have to pretend just for one moment that numbers are going to be the only thing that interrupts a hiring manager and gets them to actually read this stuff in your resume. So keywords, those are going to be the things that get your resume at the top of the query. It beats, quote, the applicant tracking system. But once somebody dives into the resume, they have to see specifics and they have to see a reason for them to bring you into the interview here. So include numbers. Don't be afraid to brag, because this is how you get noticed in 2024 and beyond. So this wraps up top concerns for job seekers. I hope that this episode was useful for you. Again, make sure to check out our landing page, letseatgrandma.com/podcast. You can get so many more resources and pieces of information there. Did I say something that inspired you or got you curious about something that I said? Or you may have further follow-up questions. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm chris-villanueva-cprw. I would love to hear from you. This wraps up today's episode of the Career Warrior Podcast. Can't wait to see you next time. There are 30 possible resume mistakes stopping you from landing interviews. And please, whatever you do, don't submit your resume to another bot who won't listen. As a top resume service, we've helped thousands of job seekers. And with our expert eye, Let's Eat Grandma will transform your resume into a job-winning masterpiece. Don't wait. Submit your resume to Let's Eat Grandma now for a free critique.